So the last constitutional protection that we need to know about is the role of the High Court. And now this will make a lot more sense since we were just discussing what the High Court does with regards to our express rights. So Section 76 of the Constitution gives the Commonwealth Parliament the power to provide the High Court with jurisdiction to hear disputes involving the Constitution specifically. This refers to the notion that the High Court cannot change the wording of the Constitution, just like Parliament cannot, but they can give words meaning through interpretation. So they can interpret what the Constitution actually meant and what were the intentions of the original Constitution. So we can see that section there. Additional original jurisdiction for the Commonwealth. The Parliament may make laws conferring original jurisdiction on the High Court in any matter arising under this Constitution or involving its interpretation. This means that the High Court isn't like every other court that has that role in statutory interpretation, where we just interpret acts or statutes, so statutory law, to decide what was meant by that legislation to help decide disputes. But the High Court has additional roles, and when it comes to interpretation, not of statutes, but actually the Constitution, to help resolve disputes. So this means the High Court has jurisdiction to hear disputes between different states and disputes between a person and Commonwealth Parliament or a person and a state level parliament, and disputes between Commonwealth Parliament and a state parliament as well. So you need to know some of these original jurisdiction of the High Court, some of these examples, so you should memorize some of them. We can see some additional ones arising under any laws made by the Parliament. So this includes Section 109. It includes concurrent powers as well, and any disputes like that as well may be heard by the High Court. And there are some other examples here. You'll have more in your textbook though. So just remember a few of them. Okay, so what are the strengths and weaknesses of the role of the High Court? So some of these we discussed. Judges are independent and can make decisions based upon legal principles rather than political pressures. So we said that this is ensured due to the separation of powers, that judges will have no corruption because they actually have no ties to executives or legislators or any members of parliament. So we're most likely to have fair constitutional interpretations that will be for the sake of actually what was intended by the Constitution and what was intended for the people, and not out of some kind of self-interest. The existence of the High Court also allows laws to be overturned if they are found to be unconstitutional. So this is that power of the High Court to declare laws ultra vires or beyond the scope of the powers of Parliament, therefore declaring them unlawful and ultimately abolishing them. Also, the High Court acts as an independent check on abuses of power. Now, the limitations of the role of the High Court, they can only rule on the facts of cases brought before them. So this means that if people cannot afford the costs associated, or don't have time, or don't have standing, are not directly affected by an unconstitutional law, a dispute cannot come to the High Court, and unlawful laws will continue to operate until that dispute does come. Decision may also depend on the composition of the High Court justices, because in the High Court, there are multiple justices actually making the verdict and the decision rather than just one single judge or person. And the High Court can only interpret the Constitution and determine whether Parliament have abused their power, but they cannot change the wording in the Constitution or make it any clearer or adjust it or anything like that.